going to do a short recording on micro-situations. Man boobs. Well, technically, it's called gynecomastia. That's when a man develops breast tissue that's enough to look like he has breasts. And for Mike, it's noticeable that he has gynecomastia, but he handles it well. He's not ashamed. He wears his tight shirts, and of course the tight shirts tend to make it a little more pronounced. And then the fact that he doesn't have a fatty abdomen also makes his man boobs pop a little bit. And then he has big nipples. So when you put that all together, it's obvious that Mike has man boobs. And nothing wrong with that. Some guys get it, some guys don't. It's not going to hurt you. There's nothing to harm you from having enlarged boobs as a man. But it just is something that takes your eye as you look at him, especially in a tight shirt. A lot of women like a man with boobs because it gives them something to do when they're making love. They can actually play more with the man's boobs, just like a man likes to play with a woman's boobs. So sometimes the gynecomastia can be good in lovemaking, but some men don't like it. Some men feel embarrassed because they feel it's feminizing them. It's making them look a bit female when they want to look 100% male. There are things you can do about it. You can have liposuction, where they just make a little teeny nick in the breast and suck out the extra fat and flatten that breast out so that it doesn't stick out, and then that way you get rid of the man boobs. The other thing they can do is a mastectomy. Now Mike doesn't have enough breast tissue to really have a mastectomy, but if he wanted to, just if it bothered him, he could have liposuction. But a mastectomy for a man who had bigger breasts could resolve the problem with a mastectomy, just like a woman would have a mastectomy to remove breasts. Is there a chance of getting breast cancer? There's always a chance. It's very low risk for a man to get breast cancer, but there's always a chance. And whenever you have breast tissue, I would suggest that you occasionally do a breast check. It takes about a couple seconds. You can do it in the shower. So I would say do it every month, just regularly, and don't even really think about it as a big deal. Just do it as you check any other part of your body to make sure that nothing abnormal is going on, because if something is abnormal, you want to get taken care of immediately. You don't want to procrastinate. If you feel any lumps or any dimpling in the breast, you do want to have it taken care of immediately. Having an imbalance of hormones can cause men to develop breasts. So if you're eating a lot of meat that's been fed a lot of estrogen, and a lot of times they use estrogen on chicken and cows and so forth because it makes them fatter and bigger. Just like an old mom, when she gets a lot of estrogen flowing in her body, she tends to gain weight, she tends to look fatter, and that's the same thing with the food we eat. So if you're eating food that has been given a lot of estrogen and you eat that food, then you're going to get more estrogen. So the other thing you can do is pick meats that have not been fed hormones. And you can find that in certain stores. They'll say no hormones were used to raise these chickens or raise these cows or whatever. And that is another way to get your estrogen level lower. There's certain endocrine things that can happen to your body which can make you have more estrogen in your system, but these would have to be diagnosed by a doctor. You'd go in for a consult, and then you would have to do some blood work to see whether or not you actually do have a higher than normal estrogen level. But again, if the man boobs are not bothering you, you don't have to do anything. And feel confident in who you are. That's just the way you are. As you get older and you get a fatter belly and you get more fat on the sides of your torso, and you tend to get more fat in your shoulders, your neck, and your everywhere, you're going to be, in some ways, less noticeable that you have these breasts, and in some way it might be more noticeable if the fat still tends to accumulate more so in the breast area than in other parts of the body. Just something to check out periodically and take care of if you want to, but regardless, I think every man should periodically have a check of his breasts for breast cancer, because it is possible for a man to get breast cancer, and if a man does get breast cancer, it can be worse. Now, there was a camp, a military camp where, and I'm thinking it's Camp Lejeune, for some reason it's coming to my mind, where there were chemicals on the Army base, and the men were coming down with higher rates than normal of breast cancer, and the government kept trying to say no, they weren't getting breast cancer, it wasn't related to the camp, and eventually as more and more men were coming down with breast cancer, they did have to start to admit some liability in these men having a higher than normal breast cancer rate and take care of the bills that these men accumulated as Army-related health problems. So that's all I wanted to say about enlarged breasts in men. If you have something wrong with your breast, just like a woman, get it taken care of right away, and hopefully you'll catch it early, no lymph nodes, and have a great result, and it won't affect your lifespan. And take care. That's the end of this.